We'll have the same format, opening statements, questions, about 30 minutes, and we'll have each candidate have a closing statement as well. And I've already asked the candidates to speak well into the microphone. So this is for Director Position 4, 2 candidates, Michael Raymond and Tammy Robacher, and we will begin with you, Mr. Raymond, with your opening statement.
Thank you to the League of Women Voters for offering this forum. I think it's really important to have informed voters, and I think that's one of the goals of our schools, is to make sure that we have students that are very competent and involved citizens. My name is Mike Raymond. I live in Port Ludlow. I'm a retired teacher. I taught for my entire teaching career at Chimacum. I retired 2 years ago. I had a number of experiences there. One of the things I just remember doing is that, I don't know if any of you remember the Miss Chimacum pageant. It was one of the very first things that I did. I think in my second year of teaching, the choir teacher came and talked to me and said, "Would you sing?" And it was the first time I'd ever done that in front of people. I was on the auditorium stage. I sang "How a Pretty Girl is Like a Melody," a cappella. And, I was coached to do that. I go like, you know what, if I can do that, I guess I can do this. So I can stand up. So, I had the privilege of working there for 40 years with so many people. I was one of the last standing folks when I left there. Everybody else had, kind of come after me. Started there in 1977. And, it's where I grew up. It's where I became a complete adult. It's where I became so committed to public education. I had the chance to learn so many things there from the administrators, my teaching colleagues, the secretaries and the cooks and the bus drivers. It's a place where so many things happen. We have to care so much for those folks. I've heard about that. That the school or Chimacum Schools does not have a mission. Well, we do have a mission, and that mission has been carried out, and I am an example of that mission being carried out. I'm a successful adult, and a successful teacher.
Thank you.
And I'm very satisfied.
We're going to wrap up. Sorry. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm a proud parent of 2 Chimacum graduates. Over my long history as a volunteer at Chimacum Schools, I've gained great insight into the daily challenges and opportunities of students, parents, and staff. While working with various community organizations across the grades, I've developed a deep respect and well-rounded appreciation for our school district. Being a small business owner and an active member in the community, I bring a practical perspective and an entrepreneurial spirit to the role. I've continued to build strong relationships within our community, and I am committed to the success of Chimacum Schools, students, teachers, staff, and the school board. My platform is based on 3 priorities: accountability, positive culture, and action. It is the school board's role to hold the district leadership accountable for the successes and failures of our schools. It is essential to have clear board, administrator, and building goals with a clear way to measure progress with regular check-ins. We need collaborative leadership to advance and strengthen our programs. The solutions we create should be based on our community assets and built with the community's input. And finally, action. We tend to study issues and then study them some more. Many proposals have been developed in the past few years with the help of committees and action groups. It is time to take that good work and focus on some follow-through. As we face the challenges of changing enrollment, incomplete state funding, and structural transition to a new school configuration, it is time to get back to the basics. The basics of family, community, relationships. These are the very heart of why we live in Jefferson County, and our children deserve the best we can offer.
Questions for our candidates?
We've heard a lot about community and the school, and I think we all want to be proud of the Chimacum School District. I'd like to know what steps you would take as a board of director to make Chimacum School a top-rated school district?
Ms. Rohrbach, can you go first, please?
So it used to be that the board meetings had one business meeting and one working session. I think we need a chance to be more collaborative and discuss some issues and roll up our sleeves and get some action going to a lot of these studies that we've had done. I'd like to see our academic achievement increase. Pull parents in to get the same turnout to school board meetings as when they're going to cut sports. It'd be nice to see an overall, over the board, better show out from parents, for parents to feel like they have input, for teachers to feel supported, for our staff to feel respected. I think it's really good to just pull everybody back into that community.
I think one of the first things that we need to make sure that we do is to increase our student achievement. I think there's still room for growth. The way to be able to do that, I think, is to make sure that we are using research-based methods that are proven, that we need to make sure that we have access to data, that school board members discuss those pieces of data and then make decisions as to whether the programs that we are supporting are being effective or not. Also, I think one of the important parts of improving our school district and making it a top-of-the-line school district is to make sure that we have effective school leadership. It's clear with school boards that the superintendent is the employee of the school board, and the superintendent is responsible for carrying out the operation of the school district. So getting that information from the superintendent and having a collaborative working relationship with the superintendent and making thoughtful research-based decisions will lead us to be able to perform more highly than we have even in the past.
I'll ask the same question that I had before, which maybe to your point, Tammy, is around follow-through. So how do you plan to affect change and move us forward as a board?
I think one of the things that I have had the opportunity to do is to see that for a board to be effective is that we have to take our themes and our issues and calendar them throughout the year to make sure that we are getting to all of the issues that we need to address. I think what we should also be doing is making more opportunities to have engagement with the community in terms of board meetings. So I know one of the things that we had talked about is our mission and our vision, and there's been some frustration with that. I believe that the board should offer a time when the community can be involved to ask them about what the future of the Chimacum schools should be, so that if we need to change or adjust our mission and our vision, we do that with input. It is very clear to me that as a school board member, I am the representative of you folks out there that are in the community. I cannot do things by myself. I need to make sure that I am representing the taxpayers and the stakeholders of this community, and to listen carefully to find ways to engage with you, school board meetings outside of the school board. I think one of the things that we should be doing is using technology to stream our school board meetings through available technologies that almost anyone could see, and also using available technologies to record them so that if someone would want to see what actually did happen during a school board meeting, that you can go onto the district website and watch the entire meeting that you may not have been able to attend.
I think we need a clear vision and map. You don't know where you're going unless you have a guide of how to get there. And then to do the collaborative meetings where people can freely speak. It's a little more low-key. You can get some input and discussion going and answer some questions, get some input from staff, community members. I think the accountability part, if you don't have concise goals, you don't know where you're going, so you need that rubric to measure, to have that standard, to know where you're going, and then to head toward that common goal together as a group, collaborative group. Positive culture, and then action on the map that you've laid out. You know, this is where we should be by point A, by point B, by point C, and have that defined roadmap.
During the last candidates forum, a couple of the candidates suggested that the school board members should make an appearance in the classroom. What are your feelings on that?
It's not the school board's position to be micromanaging the teachers. We've hired someone in place, and there's a chain of command to go through. That being said, I also think I came from where each school board member was assigned a building. They had that connection. They knew what was going on. There was good news assigned with that building. Everybody got to report back so that each school board member knew what was happening on a building basis. You knew what was going on in the primary school, even when you had high school students. You knew what was going on in the elementary school and vice versa. It's good for people to have that crossover, to be out in the community, to get feedback from teachers, neighbors, you know, people that you're passed by on the grocery store are going to tell you what they think once they know you're a school board member. So, but I think that's a good thing. Then you can channel that feedback back into the discussion and the collaborative meetings to know what's going on.
I believe in going into the classrooms, into the buildings. As a matter of fact, I have done that. I was in every building this last time since I was appointed to the board in January. I was in every building from January through June. No, it is not my job as a school board member to micromanage or to even go out and to ask questions that are too intrusive. My job is to be able to go and be the eyes of the community. If people want to know and to kind of have understand the character of what's going on in our classrooms, they should be able to come to me and get a good idea for that. I am there to be a supportive person for the folks in the classroom, the students, the administrators, the office staff, even going and talking with the maintenance people. I want to have some personal interaction. It does not mean I'm going out to supervise. It means I'm going out to be the eyes of the stakeholders, the eyes of the taxpayers, so that I can put my eyes on the real things that are happening. I do believe in going into classrooms and seeing what's going on so that I can enjoy the successes, which I have seen so many of in our school district.
I have a question in regards to extracurricular activities. My girls both play sports. Chimacum is not on a level playing field with the rest of the 1A schools in the state of Washington. We're the only 1A school without a rubber track to run on. In fact, we don't even have a cinder track. So what is your view on extracurricular activities? You're right, the parents come when they rally around sports, but we're losing kids to North and to Port Townsend because of their sports programs. So what are we going to do to level the playing field for our kids here in Chimacum?
I think that being physically active and having as many opportunities as possible is important, even if they were intramural activities. I understand I was an athlete in Port Townsend schools where I graduated from, and I enjoyed the opportunity to have good facilities to be able to use. If the school district can afford to provide for higher quality facilities, a rubberized track, lights, new baskets, or new kinds of opportunities, to be able to get outside, to allow students to have a healthier lifestyle because they are physically active. I am for all of those things. On the other hand, some of those things are expensive, but I think that one of the things a school board member is charged with is determining what are the priorities when it comes to budgeting. So as we consider and consider the approval of a budget every year, I think those are the things that we need to take into mind. If they become a high enough priority that we hear and that they're able to be done, I am for being able to offer those kinds of things for our athletes here, because it's going to be one of those things that does keep student athletes from going to other school districts.
If we had the budget of the Seattle School District, we'd be on board with a new track, a new field. I think hard efforts need to be made to keep our kids competitive, but I think we also need to look at reality and maybe going with some more collaborative agreements on some different sports with different schools. I know our Little League football collaborated with Port Townsend this last year so they could have a large enough team for turnout. We've done it with tennis in the past. I know we've done it with swim team and some other things where you can kind of have the best of both worlds. There are great things at Chimacum. I know I've talked to Seattle parents where their kids have to choose whether they're going to be in soccer or band or football and band. Our kids can do it all, and that's a huge asset to where they can participate in a lot of things instead of saying, well, I can only go out for one thing. It's going to be band or football. You know, you see the football players out in the band performance in their football uniform. So they've got to focus on the positives, collaborate where we can with other schools, and make it all work. It's all the pieces have to fit together in the end.
Our students do need good teachers, and that's been said throughout this evening. Do the teachers have an opportunity to collaborate with the Port Townsend teachers within their own grade level? Do you have new teacher mentors, a BITSA program, so that when you have a new teacher coming to the school, there's a mentor that's helping her out?
You know, I really don't know about the specifics on who's collaborating with who. I do know a group of teachers went to West Sound Tech where they could talk about, you know, different opportunities to get excited. I think it's great. The more collaboration we have, the more ideas we can take, successes and failures from other school districts, the further ahead we'll be. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. We can kind of glean the prime off the top. But I'm all for collaboration and giving our teachers the time to where they can visit with other schools, view other classrooms, and come out with the best ideas for our students.
Yes, teachers in Chimacum School District do have the chance to collaborate with other teachers outside of this school district. As a teacher myself, I was involved with the No Limits math grant, math and science grant, where we were given funds to be able to travel to Forks and to Port Angeles to be able to interact and kind of find those best practices and be led by some of the education research leaders at the ESD level. So I know that's an important thing to support teachers. I was a beginning teacher. I remember that very first year I was hired at Thanksgiving, and I had to walk into a first grade classroom and it was like, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? I had been trained, but you know, when you walk into your first classroom for the first time, it's like, okay, here we go, now what? I had wonderful folks here at the Chimacum School District that stepped up and worked with me. I know that if I had any questions that needed to be answered or I needed to have a chance to collaborate with any folks in any of the other schools, I was an elementary school teacher, high school, I would have the opportunity. I could walk to them. The people that are here are some of the best people for sharing their ideas and being supportive of each other. I think it's one of the ideas is that's out there is that the climate is not as good as it could be. I think when we went back to some of the surveys that have been done by the school district, they find that the teachers in their buildings they have excellent rapport and support and a collaborative nature with their building principals. So I think we have good folks. It's a good place to be. I'm very proud to be associated with those kinds of practices.
We've heard a few people talk about mission statement tonight, and that's got me thinking, because I've worked for nonprofits for almost 30 years, and we always have a mission statement. Never really thought about schools and mission statements, but I heard about this effort for Chimacum to develop a mission statement. I'm interested in your take on that. What is it, and what would a mission statement provide the school in terms of kind of a programmatic driver. I'm interested in your take on the mission.
Well, I think it's pretty simple that it's all about the students and about their success. And the Chimacum, I don't know if people actually know what it is, but the district mission statement has been adopted and has been in action. Doesn't mean that it's not going to change in the future, because the future it will always change. But it's that the Chimacum School District is committed to high academic expectations and standards. We proactively, and we're talking about the whole Chimacum staff and school board together, work proactively together to provide skills, knowledge, and resources to ensure a fully supportive environment in all of the schools for excellence in education for the entire community. That means all of you folks and everyone that is a taxpayer here or someone that sends their children to school can be confident that they are going to send their kids to the Chimacum School District, and the mission is going to support their desire to have kids be prepared for all of their unique futures in so many different ways. And as the world changes with either climate change or economic changes, I believe that I can be part of a board that anticipates those changes and can create an environment where all of our children will be even more successful as they go forward.
To have happy, successful, well-rounded students. Vision or mission, academic achievement, I think would be at the top of that list. To get the community's trust, staff trust, to bridge that gap, to be the foundation of our community again. The heart of our community is our schools. So accountability, positive culture, action, I think would be our mission statement.
Thank you. And now for your final statement. So, Ms. Robecker, you'll go first, please.
Being a Chimacum parent has given me a perspective. Being a Chimacum school volunteer has given me perspective. Being an active community member has given me perspective. Being a school district employee has given me a perspective. Being the spouse of a Chimacum school board member has given me a perspective. All of this builds on a great foundation for this school board position. I am ready to roll up my sleeves and be a collaborative part of leadership to advance and strengthen our programs focused on action, accountability, and follow through. It is time to get back to the basics of family, community, and our relationships. The very heart of why we all live in Jefferson County. Our children deserve the best we can offer. Together, let's begin a new chapter for Chimacum schools.
I have been a part of the Chimacum School Board from the time I was appointed in January. I feel I have been very privileged and honored to be able to work with fine people. It is not an easy job. I think one of the things that we promise to ourselves as board members is that we work with each other with a high degree of integrity and ethical behavior. I do not believe in bashing what has happened with the board. I believe that we have done our best. It is not easy to have difficult discussions. We have accomplished many things. We have learned a lot about each other, and I value that very highly. I promise that is something that I will continue to do, is that I can be a good member of a team, a great member of a team of people that work together to lead this school district.
The time does go quickly. I'd like to thank both of you as candidates for running for school board in Chimacum. Big acknowledgement to the League of Women Voters, the American Association of University Women Port Townsend. Thank you so much for putting on these forums. Thank all of you for coming out and caring. This is a great thing, and this is how our democracy works. So thank you so much. Dennis, thank you. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone. KPTC and the leader.